So there's over $50,000 in this one storage bin of merchandise in here. Tons of stuff. Every one of these pockets here is full of stuff. Hey, it's Don. Today we're talking about overall inventory issues such as value, dollar amounts, and space, especially, that our inventory as well as your inventory would take up, which are key essential aspects of keeping your costs low. So there's over $50,000 in this one storage bin of merchandise in here. Tons of stuff. Every one of these pockets here is full of stuff. So there's all sorts of paper items that are larger. Every one of these sleeves here or pockets is just loaded. I have some stuff in the front too, some labels, cigarette packs, and things along that line. Larger items on the side. There's photos in the back. We use every inch of space we can. If you were selling clothing, though, and you had to have $50,000 worth of clothing in a building, you're going to take up multiple shelves and probably 15, maybe 30 or 45 of these bins to get $50,000 worth of merchandise. I didn't have the space, which is a big problem for many people who are doing this. We didn't have the ability to get good clothing either, so that's why we've went to smalls like this. Overall, we've got $3.5 million plus in inventory stored in bins in our storage facility here. That's not counting unsorted and just piled up items still in boxes. We started off buying $1 items one by one way back in the day, and it's just taken us over a decade to get to this point where we have literally millions of dollars worth of merchandise. Now, if I was selling clothing and households and things like that, items like that, my overhead would be horrendous. I would have to have a storage building, and that would crush some of the profits. So again, size-wise is huge. A lot of people who are selling, say if you're in an apartment or a small house or something with kids, it might be a lot harder. When we first started, we filled up our bedroom, an entire wall, the closet, any extra space we could. Underneath the bed, we even took up for reselling because it was the only place we had without going into the kids' rooms and things like that. We stored it anywhere we could. And if, again, we kept up selling clothing, we would have a huge assortment to get the volume that we have in value-wise with the paper items and smalls and vintage collectibles. Now, we started off, as I said, buying single items, garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, church sales, all that kind of stuff. We've eventually evolved into what we are now. We used to do a lot of clothing because they were easier to get back then. As clothing got harder, it made it impractical to mess with clothing. Couldn't get it. Couldn't get good stuff. And if I had to sell cheaper stuff, I'd fill up an entire building with just a couple $100,000 worth of clothing. It would just be a horrendous amount of space taken up by it. To get a storage building, a storage facility, it's probably going to cost you over $100 a month for one that has electricity along with climate controlled. I would never store someone's belongings or anything I'm selling in a non-climate controlled building. I wouldn't put it in a shed without, constant control. Wouldn't want moisture getting in there or anything else like that. I wouldn't do it. It would be an end of story. I wouldn't do that. So a storage facility with electricity and climate control is a necessity. So you've probably talking $1,500 bare bones minimum, depending on the part of the country you're in, for a storage facility just to store your stuff. If you're selling something every day and it's a couple miles away, you've got gas, you've got your time. There's probably not a mail drop-off there and you want to get it scanned, so you're going to have to go to the post office as well when you're working from outside of your living space. That's the biggest thing. It's going to cost you, even if the initial cost is only $1,500 a year, you think that's not bad. You've got to add in all the time to drive back and forth. So from your house to the storage facility, from the storage facility to the post office back home. If you forget something or someone asks a question, hey, can you tell me what's up with this, what's up with that? It might mean another trip. So there's lots of drawbacks using a storage facility, a rental place basically. Overhead's the biggest one. Smalls, you can store a ton of merchandise in small, compact areas. Even these small bins right here, some of these bins probably carry $15,000 in them. And it's a mix mash of all sorts of different things: luggage labels, stamps, postcards, trade cards, early advertising T cards, you name it. If it's small and it'll fit in here, it goes in here. Doesn't matter what it is. Now these are all labeled, so I can instantly tell from the outside of the bin what's in it. You can also see that they're clear, so I can instantly tell what type of material is in this. Now the only way for me to gain this amount of volume is to buy it in bulk, and to have people help me list it up, because it would just be too much to actually do individually. We have tens of thousands of listings that are active right this very second on multiple platforms as well. Now, a majority of what we sell are long tail items. You may not be able to do that. You may not need some huge amount of space if you're only getting good items that sell extremely quickly. Quick flips, high value items. I can't find them. Most people that I know can't find that sort of deal either. You're usually looking at a smaller amount, $25 to say $50 profit per item is the, I guess, bread and butter of most businesses that we talk to. For us to be able to have enough sales to keep our volume of sales at a certain point, I have to have a lot of items up online. We've got a huge footprint online, so our stuff just is scattered throughout most of the categories that we're in, so we're easily found, seen on almost any page you could think of in the niches and the categories that we sell in. Now, I target source everything. I don't just randomly drive around because it's not productive enough for me. I've been able to find sourcing where I can get quantity, large amounts, hundreds and hundreds of items, sometimes thousands of items, all at the very, very same time. So that's the ploy to get this sort of thing up here. Again, when you first start off and label it. Have a storage system to begin with from the very first day that you do this. Because if you plan on doing this for a long time and you don't label and store things properly in a proper storage system, you're going to lose stuff. Things are going to get broken, damaged, and things like that. All of our items, regardless of where they're stored, are all stored in plastic containers. And inside here, some of them are stored in containers in their own, like sleeves, bags. Postcards sometimes are in sleeves and things like that as well too. So storage space is huge. This one bin right here, there's over 3,000 individual listings in this one single bin, and it's a half-size bin here. There's a lot of weight to it, but it takes up such a small amount of room for 3,000 listings. Now, quantity works great for us because I can dominate categories. That's that big footprint that I'm looking for. That's why in certain sections that we sell in, we're the biggest seller of the items in that category. I show up on every single page in like military buttons or something. Trade cards, probably the same thing, and quite a few other small niches. I cover them very extensively. You have to be able to store it, of course. If I was trying to do this in clothing, it wouldn't be possible. Household items, electronics, wouldn't be possible for us to do it. The amount of space I would need for large electronics or turntables and receivers and things is huge. So no matter what you're selling, it usually comes down to space as to how big you can advance. If you have to get a storage facility, as I said, you're losing thousands of dollars every single year doing so. So for us, going small, buying these small items and sticking to these categories and going the long tail route has been far better, far more productive than any other means we have ever done doing eBay. Easy to store, easy to ship, easy to buy, the whole works. They're safe. There's no way to damage most of the items that we sell also. That does far better for us than we'd ever done messing with other items. Those were hit or miss as well. I never knew what I was going to find if I just had to go to garage sales and places like that. There was no guarantee around here in our area that I would even make enough to pay for my gas driving around to some of these places. If you're not the first one there or you don't show up the night before around here, you may not get anything good. So we've pretty much given up on most garage sales, estate sales, and things like that, and go after other sourcing avenues that we've dealt with, hunting down places, getting contacts and connections where we can buy in bulk, and that has done us the best deal for this. But anyway, that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
When can I pick up the pictures?
Thursday.
Thursday, okay, let me make a note of that.
You gonna write it down there?
Well, it's going to,
Oh,
yeah.
well, then let's say Tuesday.
You mean 2 days earlier?
No, 5 days later.
5 days later, I thought as much.
If this customer were at a Photomat store, we'd be introducing him to our brand new picture pickup promise. Photomat's way of telling you exactly when your pictures will be ready.
That quick?
Sure, and if it doesn't work out, you get a free roll of film.
Oh, no. You get in trouble for
It's
that.
no problem.
Huh?
It's a Photomat policy.
The Photomat picture pickup promise.
Is there a Photoman store around here?